Today, the province is re-examining Quebec's labor laws this week. The idea is that it might be time to rethink some of the more antiquated laws out there. The goal to make the economy perhaps more efficient and productive in the minds of some. Louis Fortin is co-author of a report for the Montreal Economic Institute, a think tank that's asking some tough questions about Quebec. He's also a lecturer at McGill and part of the Montreal Economic Institute's policy group. This report basically relates to the idea that unions, we know the unions play a very strong role in Quebec and have for a long time, takes on some of the sacred cows in terms of that, calling Quebec a bit of an anomaly in terms of the way unions are treated here compared to other democratic countries and states and regions out there.
That's right. Now listen, just to be fair, certainly this paper has got nothing to do with attacking any unions. What we really want to do is see if we can have some labor law reform in the province of Quebec, because there are certain things that really distinguish us from the rest of Canada, the rest of the United States, Europe, and even Australia. We've got things here regarding compulsory membership. We've got the RAND formula, which forces employers to deduct union dues at source. We have also, unfortunately, people who can get unionized in the province of Quebec without having a secret ballot vote. And those are all terrible irritants that we believe hinder the economic development of the province of Quebec.
Okay, so, yeah, and let's go through those, because those are the two things. First of all, the lack of freedom of choice. So in other words, you're not allowed, there's compulsory membership in unions in Quebec if there's a union in your shop, and the union dues that you pay can be in some, used for political purposes, right. Whether or not you agree with those purposes. And the secret balloting as well is an issue.
Right, all those are issues, and the one that probably is one of the most irritant ones was the one regarding the secret ballot vote. I mean, it's hard to believe that in a democratic society like ours that you could wind up getting 50% plus one a card signed and automatically you get certified. I mean, you can imagine if at the next elections we decided to choose our prime minister by how many cards people have signed with the Conservative Party, how many are members of the Liberal Party, how many are members of the Bloc, and then all of a sudden, okay, well, we won't have an election, and you guys are elected. I mean, it would be insane, and so we want to avoid that.
Do you think there's a space nowadays for this sort of discussion? We've seen a little bit of a rise of perhaps the right in Quebec in the last year or so. Is this on the table or not? It seems like in Quebec City today, there's looking at tightening things up in terms of the internet and whatnot for labor code, so it might be going in the opposite direction.
You're right. Indeed, there is a parliamentary commission that's looking at the replacement of workers provision in the labor code, and certainly the folks at the Journal de Montréal feel that they have to make some significant modifications to the labor code. I think that probably what they got to do is to go back to the bargaining table and negotiate in good faith.
Is there some room, though, now, do you think, in terms of the political atmosphere in Quebec to look at some of these sacred cows?
Well, there are certain parties like l'ADQ that are certainly interested in some of these reforms. I would say that at this point, the Parti Québécois certainly wouldn't be, and the Liberals are probably on the fence.
And in terms of the actual nuts and bolts of this and the idea about union dues, compulsory dues, or compulsory membership, I mean, one of the things that you guys talked about in your economic note was this idea that a lot of Quebecers are in favor of freedom of choice.
Absolutely. I mean, the vast majority of Quebecers feel that we should have secret ballot votes, and they also feel that they should have far more control over their union dues because, as you were saying earlier, some of those union dues can be used to support certain political parties.
As we saw several years back, where some of the major unions in the province went out and were actively canvassing against a political party.
Exactly. That happened in 2003, and it could still happen today because there's nothing to prevent it.
I want to thank you for coming in today and sharing this with us.
You're quite welcome, Todd.
Appreciate it.